in terms of marginalized populations, the great thing about quality public spaces is they're inherently democratic, and cities can do them anywhere. Cities can support them anywhere. You don't have to be wealthy, or you don't have to pay a membership fee to take part in a public plaza, or to ride on a greenway, or to go to a public arts center. These are things that allow anyone to engage them. And I think through those opportunities and through those connections, I think it helps marginalized populations, or historically marginalized populations, learn about what exactly their rights are and what kind of protections they have, and really how to take advantage of their own creativity, how to really use it and benefit from it.
Creativity really is the lifeblood of culture, period. And here's the interesting thing. If we look at this thing from an economic point of view, you go in the city and they say, well, we want to create economic empowerment. If you don't create creativity, if you don't open the channels of creativity, you'll never have economic empowerment. Why? Because when people are creative, they do what? They express themselves. Mm-hmm. How do people express themselves? Through their art, their music, their language, and their writing, which is what? Their culture. Now, when you have a cultural explosion, you have an economic explosion. You know why? Because people love culture. Why do people go to Nashville? Because they love country culture. Somebody expressed it, and through that expression, they created a style of dress, a style of music, a lifestyle that is entertaining to people, and they pay for it. Why do people go to Memphis and go to Beale Street? Because they want to taste the barbecue. They want to hear the jazz. They want to experience the culture. Yeah. Why do people go to New Orleans? Because they want to experience the culture. So when you start looking at it from an economic point of view, what you have to do is create avenues or channels for this creativity to get out. Because when you have a creative explosion, you have the explosion of culture. And when you have the explosion of culture, people follow culture, period.
I think what you're seeing now in planning, in terms of a broader philosophical movement, is a return towards what we call co-locating uses or mixing uses. What had happened over the previous 50 or 60 years in terms of how planning cities occurred is in no small part because of the automobile. We started really separating our uses. We started creating big pieces of residential area and big pieces of office. And it didn't really allow for that day-to-day mixing of individuals. And that's something that I think isn't always appreciated, but it really brews a creative environment when you have people just interacting organically on a day-to-day basis. And you're starting to see cities return to trying to create those sorts of places, very small scale or large scale communities where there's a mix of shops and residential and offices, and you have a wide array of demographics and people moving back and forth, people sitting in plazas and people watching. Or being inspired by the public space around them. That's really where development and planning is headed back towards. It's kind of rediscovering the value of creating those spaces. But it can occur in smaller communities as well. I think when you look at say a rising city like Chattanooga or a rising city like Nashville, Chattanooga in particular with what it's done with its downtown and co-locating a variety of arts and activities, and that's spilled over to other communities like the North Shore in Chattanooga, and these have all really begun to attract that creative class and really develop a lot of creative capital in those communities.